Welcome to a Management Plus webinar. My name is Kevin Sloan. I am a certified electronic health record specialist and certified ophthalmic technician. Management Plus is an industry leader in electronic health records, and we want to provide you with the tools to make documentation within your electronic health record fast and accurate, as well as the skills to use these tools proficiently. Today's webinar is titled Finding Past Data, Keywords, Keyboard Commands, and Favorites. The highlight of this discussion will be, number one, utilizing the various methods to find past data within the electronic health record. Number two, setting up and using keywords to save keystrokes within the exam room. Number three, keyboard commands that make you look like a super user. Number four, favorites within the medications grid, allergies list, and problems list make data entry quick and easy. So let's get started. You'll find yourself in an exam room from time to time entering data, as I have done here on this particular patient, and you'll ask yourself, how can I find some past values for this particular patient? I want to know what happened in the past. Once you have multiple records within your electronic health record system, you'll be able to access this information quick and easily. If you were to try to count how many different ways there are, how many would you think there is? Is there 1, 2, 3, or 4? The answer to that is actually 4. There's 4 different methods that I'm going to review with you today so that you can see how to find past data. The first one is a synopsis grid. A synopsis grid is a tool that is built within electronic health records. It is built to display specific past data. If I'm on this record here and on this form that's titled Workup, and I wanted to see the past data for the vision, you can simply scroll down and you can see a synopsis grid is right there below. You can see the dates that the data was entered for the right and the left eye. There's also a synopsis set up for the pressure. So if it was documented, you will see that in the date. This particular date had vision with correction in the right eye documented, but nothing else on any of the other columns. On 3/25/15, vision for the right and left eye was documented, and the pressure for the right and left eye was documented as well. Not every control within electronic health records has a synopsis grid, and sometimes the synopsis grid is located in another form, and you may have a specific form that's set up that has a series of synopsis grid to display data. That's just one way to see the data. The columns can be moved on these. If there was data that was written into this that was really wide and you wanted to see more of it, you can see these in greater length just by moving this column. It will not change that permanently. It just changes it for this one session. Once the record's closed and reopened, it results back to its default column width. A second method for determining what the past visits value are, one of my favorite methods, is to use the previous visit value. Every control within your EHR has that. Essentially, you have to just mouse over this, right-click with your mouse, and choose Previous Visit Value. This will show all of the past values that's documented within your electronic health record. It will go back infinitely. For this patient, there are a lot of records that are created, and you can see all of the past data. This window can be made taller or shorter, depending on your preference, and it can be made wider as well. And you can see all of that past data for this particular patient and who documented that and when. If you wanted to insert this data in, if you had not documented that, you could certainly insert this data in. You can right-click here. If I wanted that value, which is 2030, if I wanted to insert that, right-click and insert selected. And that will allow you to see and utilize that data in today's record. You can always go back to another value or simply go back to the form and re-enter the data if you so choose to. Any of these options you can put within that. That's very handy if you've keyed something into a memo or a text edit control and you don't want to have to rekey that information. You can simply put that back in. It's a great way to be able to do that. Okay. A third method is to use the visit comparison. Sometimes there's a little button on the form itself that says visit comparison. This form doesn't happen to have one, but that's okay. Click up here under the visit menu option. The very top one is the visit comparison. By default, it will probably come down into this location, and you can drag it any place you'd like. The form becomes read-only because it is in read-only mode when you have the visit comparison up. And this is similar to turning the pages of a paper chart. You can click through each one of these, and if data was documented on the controls that are visible, you will see it fill with that data. And you can simply go right down through this and go from one date to the next. So if you knew that this complete exam, you had checked the vision or had documented some data, you can simply click on that and everything will display. You can actually leave that open and go to another form and it will display that data for that date as well. Once you close this, it goes back to today's data. And if you were watching, you would have noticed that some of this had changed back to what I documented today. Let's go back here to this. We'll do that again, visit comparison. You can see that there's nothing for this particular date. Okay, here it's 2025, 2030, 2050. And if I close that out, it goes back to what I had documented today. So it works out very well to be able to do that and to quickly see that. Your form can be scrolled up and down and side to side, even in the visit comparison mode. The fourth methodology to reviewing past data is to review the past narrative. Narratives can be launched prior to opening the record or afterwards. If they're open prior to opening this record, you can open up as many narratives as you would like, 2, 3, or 4 at one time. Once the record is open, you can still open up as many as you'd like, but it's only one at a time. So you'd click narratives, and I want to look at this 325:15 narrative, and I'll click that. It will bring it up right there and allow me to scroll down through this and review the entire narrative. One of the benefits of using this is to be able to do a side-by-side comparison of that visit's values versus today's. So here's today's. This is dated 4/30/2015. This is essentially the runtime narrative because it rebuilt when I accessed it because I had added new data. If no data had been added to the record from the time that I viewed it last, it would just simply open and not rebuild. This narrative will never rebuild if it's open from the past. It just is in its finalized version. But this one here will rebuild if I've added new data to the record and then return focus back to this. So it's great to be able to scroll down to the location of where this data is and where that data is, and you can do a side-by-side comparison. So if I wanted to check the pachymetry, maybe it was repeated again today, you can do a side-by-side comparison of then versus now, which is a great way to do a comparison between one visit and the next. You can click back onto the form. Both narratives are still up and still accessible. Alt-Tab will take you to the last one, and then Alt-Tab again, and a couple more tabs will take you to the other. Normal Windows keyboard function and allow you to access those narratives. If you're done with this narrative and you feel like you're not going to use it anymore, that one you can close out via the X. The runtime narrative for today's visit, you really don't want to click that. You'll just want to click back onto the form, and then a quick Alt-Tab will take you to that narrative. That leads us into our highlight number 2, which is setting up and using keywords to save keystrokes in the exam room. Whenever you're in the exam room and the patient is there, it's all about speed and efficiency and being accurate in what you do. If you repeat information or the documentation of information multiple times in a day, then a keyword macro is something that you will want to utilize. I'll demonstrate that. Let's go to this form. As you know, we have macros here that are predefined that allow you to put data onto the record, and it's the same thing over and over again every time. Occasionally, you may want to modify that, and a keyword macro will allow you to do that. You can set these up and then change them at any given time during the day, and you'll have immediate response within the EHR with that keyword macro. Let's demonstrate how they're used. They're only used within a memo field. A text edit control, you cannot set up a keyword macro for. So a memo field is usually a larger box with more height, whereas a text edit control or other type of control, it's usually only the height and just a single line. The keyboard command to make this happen is Control-A. That's within your EHR. Control-A is essentially the select all command within other documents, such as Word or any other text editor, but within EHR, Control-A will launch your keyboard commands. If I press the letter M, mild AMD comes up. If I press the letter D, this comes up, and I know that I have more than one with the letter D, and you can arrow down. Press Enter, and then Enter again, and that's a keyboard command of allowing you to access the keywords. And press Enter a couple times, Control-A, M, Enter, there's my second one. It's very quick, very efficient. It's a great way to put text or to document things that are consistent. If you've used your keyword for a while and decided that you really wanted to change it a little bit, you can certainly do that. You can actually do it while the record is open. Control-A, click your flashlight. If you wanted to modify this, click Edit. And if you wanted to add to the end something new, type a little something in there, click OK, and then OK, and then Enter, and now your keyword, your macro, has been modified. And it will be permanent. As you can see, it worked instantly right then and there on the spot. These can be accessed from the main screen of Management Plus by File, General Setup, and Keywords. This is the same list that you will actually see inside of your EHR. You can add keywords here by clicking this, and let's do high myopia. So we've typed in there, discussed retinal issues that can result from having high myopia. You can do OK, close that. And just to demonstrate the effectiveness of this, if I did Control A, press the letter H, enter, there's the new keyword macro. So this will save you keystrokes, give you the flexibility to modify these at any given time. If you have multiples, which you probably will, it's a good idea to have naming schemes put in place so that you can quickly find those. If you have keyword macros for specific physicians in your office, you may want to use their initials at the beginning, and that will allow them to find their keywords quickly and efficiently. You can always just click the flashlight and you will see all of them there, and if you press H, you'll see it drills right down to high myopia. Or if you did D, you'll see that it goes right down to the D's in there. So if you had something with your initials at the beginning, only your macros would display once you keyed those initials in, and all the others would be stripped out. Helps making finding your specific keyword macro much quicker. Okay, that leads us into number 3, which is keyboard commands that make you look like a super user. There are many keyboard commands. Some of these are specific to Management Plus, others are just specific to Windows, and some are across the board. You can use them in many applications. Let's take a look at a Word document that I have available here. This particular Word document, it is actually 18 pages long, and it has keyboard shortcuts and keyboard commands. If you would like to have a copy of this, it is accessible via my Dropbox account on the training form if you happen to have that. If you don't have the training form, feel free to call or email me, and I would be happy to get a copy of this in your hands. This particular document has keyboard commands for Microsoft Word, Internet Explorer, just computers in general. There are a lot of them here. I would not expect you to memorize all of those. I don't even have them all memorized, but it is a good idea to learn some. I do have a couple of other documents that are specific to Management Plus, some keyboard commands. Just to kind of demonstrate that, one of my favorite ones is if you have a patient open and you wanted to change, instead of clicking the X and then clicking the patient, then finding the patient, you can simply do Control O on your keyboard and it will bring up your patient selection field. You can also right click and see the last 9 patients there. If you wanted to right click and press the letter P, you can see that it brings up the print narrative option. So there's a lot of nice keyboard commands that are specific just to Management Plus. There are quite a few here. To go over all of those, it would take quite a while to go over all of these, but they're fairly self-explanatory. I have a second document, which is keyboard commands number 2. So there's a lot of those in here for financials, date fields. So we don't want to cover all of those just for the sake of time. Those are available. Just give me a call or email me and I'd be happy to send those to you. Just to demonstrate some of the date keyboard commands. If that was empty, T means today. Okay. So anytime you have a date control, T T means today. You'll notice that I'm tabbing through these top controls. Everybody knows how to tab. To reverse, keyboard command to reverse that is Shift Tab. It goes right back there. How about if I want a week from today? Plus 1 W and then tab. That sets that date for a week from today. You can do minus 1 W for a week in the past. You can do plus 1 D, plus 1 Y for 1 day and 1 year, and so forth. If you're in a time control, you want to use the letter N for now. So there's lots of keyboard commands. Within a memo field, a few of the keyboard commands that are very helpful are essentially copy and paste. If you wanted to copy some data like this, it's Control C. Let's clear that out. Pasting is Control V. That's pasting. What if I want to cut something? That's a little different. That's Control X. Control X cuts it and allows me to move that data, put it any place I'd like, and then to paste it back again. If you're in a long memo field and you want to go to the top of that, it's Control Home. To go to the end, it's Control N. If you're at the end of a sentence and want to go to the beginning, you can press the Home key. The N key will take you to the end of that. What if you're at the beginning and you want to copy some data? What if you're here and you just want to go that first line? It would be Shift End, and that will highlight that. So you can do Control C, Control End, and then Control V will paste that one single line. Okay. What if I want to highlight just a few words? It's Shift Control and then the right arrow. It will go over one word at a time. What if I want to go one letter? It's the Shift and the arrow, and it will go one letter. The left arrow will go back. Shift Control left arrow will go back one word at a time. So you have full access to how this highlights the data. You can hold Shift and then the arrow down, and it will go down one whole line. You can do Control X, Control Home, Control V, and it will manipulate that data. So if you're reordering something or grabbing data, this is a great way to grab that data. If you wanted to do Home, Shift End, or if you're at the end, it's Shift Home, Control C. You can actually go over to another form or any place at all and paste that data right in. You could actually paste it into that and double click, and you can see that even though that is a short text edit control, that it did paste all of that data in. I was able to demonstrate that by double clicking this and bringing up the expanded edit dialog. You can also do Home and End. So if it's short, you can arrow over. And if you're at the beginning, the same keyboard commands work. Shift, Control, and it will highlight one word at a time. So it works out very nice to be able to manage your text and to manipulate that data within that so that you can grab that quickly. The keyboard is a much faster tool than the mouse, although the mouse you can quickly grab data like that, and you can highlight one line at a time. But sometimes using the keyboard is a faster tool. And it's all about speed, efficiency, and accuracy, and this will make you look good in front of your doctor and in front of your patients, which reflects on your office. Number 4 on the list for this webinar is favorites within the medication grid, allergies list, and problem list. Let's take a look at that. This is the medication grid here. and I want to access a favorite. So right click, prescriptions, add, then I'll click the flashlight, and I want to access my favorites. There's a little button here, click that. Here are the favorites that I have set up for this particular database. This favorites list will be across the board for all users, all workstations. So if you add a favorite, it will be accessible to everybody. You can double click that and it will put that right on there. What if you want to put a new favorite in? Okay, you'll want to search for that. And let's think of, let's see what's on the list. Okay, so let's try Xalatan. So XAL, it brought up Xalatan. To add that to the favorites list, it's right click, add favorites. Okay. And if I delete that, you go back to this. Clicking this will bring up your favorites list. And there's Xalatan. Click it again and it goes right back to the normal list for this particular database of items that we have. So makes it quite easy. You can double click that and then do OK, and you can see that Xalatan is now added to that. Allergies grid, right click, allergies list, add, then you'll click the lookup list. The favorites button is here. You can see that I have 2 favorites already right there. To add another favorite, you'll type in the name of what you're searching for. This may take a little bit of time. It may go behind the scenes, and you'll have to kind of click through the icons to be able to bring that up. And it seems to be kind of sitting there behind everything. Yeah, let's see if we can back out of that. It's hiding in there behind that. There we go. Just got to find the right one. There it is. Now we have found the correct one. And we'll finish typing that in. You'll notice that it only, even though I typed in more data, it stopped at the 1 letter. And sometimes it's best to type slow versus fast. So here's the one I'm looking for. Right click, add to the favorites. And if you were to actually come up to this field right at first, you can click favorites, double click that, and it will add that to that list. Let's make sure we've gotten that added. So add, let's do medication, favorites, double click, okay, and there it is. It did add it to that allergies list. Once you have your favorites set up, it makes it very quick and easy. The problem list, we happen to have one here. Otherwise, you can go to your meaningful use form and bring up your problem list. Same process, right click, problem list, and then add. Click the flashlight, click favorites, and double click cataract, and OK. You'll notice that cataract is here and there. You can really only have cataract on there once if it has the same code. So this code is different than that one. That's why I'm able to have it on there twice. Otherwise, it would not add it to the list. So let's add something different than that. Let's see what else I have. glaucoma. Okay, so now we have glaucoma as part of that. Let's set up a new one. Let's type in there macular edema and then absent. Right click, add favorites. And even though I'm not going to the favorites, I can actually double click that if I'd like, and then do OK. And just to demonstrate that you cannot add that twice, let's go in here to this, double click, OK. And it made a liar out of me. And you can add it twice. That is something that they have certainly modified. So that's great. If you want it on there twice, you do have the ability now to do that. This concludes the highlights of this webinar. This is a pre-recorded webinar and will be available on the Management Plus website. Thank you very much for your time.